Thanks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Abington School Committee meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, October 26, 2021. I'd like to ask you to all stand and flag salute, which is behind us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first thing that we're going to do is open up the meeting for a public hearing on school choice participation for the 2022-2023 school year.
So thank you. I just wanted to explain to the committee my recommendation on this, and then later in the agenda I'm going to ask you if you would consider it. We could always postpone it to another night if you wanted to. It's something that we have to consider every year in Massachusetts. If you don't consider this an opt-out of school choice, you're automatically in school choice. And so what the school choice program is, just briefly, is that it's the program where students from other communities can come to Abington to receive their education. Abington would accept them as students. Once you accept them as students, you own them really for their career until they finish school, which is what you want for kids. I'm going to recommend to the committee tonight that when they do decide to take this vote, that they do not opt Abington into school choice. If you were here last month, or if you saw last month's meeting, we spent a lot of time about numbers of students in Abington. We are already at a average-ish in the mid-20s at our elementary schools with our student population. Having more students come from other places would only increase those numbers. We're not overcrowded, but we've got a lot of students. And at some point, will we be overcrowded? We potentially could be overcrowded. I'm not pro-new growth. I'm not anti-new growth. If Abington continues to grow, we will be overcrowded. My responsibility is to make sure that I inform the committee and the community of these things on the horizon. I'm willing to answer questions about that recommendation. At the previous meeting, we did spend a lot of time. I published all of our numbers actually in the agenda so people had them on hand. We've seen about a 15% increase in our student population over the last 4 to 5 years as a result of the construction of the collated school buildings up at 201 Glenowitz, the high school and the pre-K program. We're capturing more students, we're keeping more students, capture is probably the wrong word. We're keeping more students that are not going to the vocational school or were choosing a private school education in previous years, and that coupled with the new growth has provided us numbers that I don't believe it would benefit the students we currently serve to add more to that plate. And so this is a public hearing, so if people wanted to comment on that. If there isn't comment on that, it would close the public hearing. We'd go to the regular session, and then, again, later in the agenda, I'll ask the committee if they'd be willing to consider that tonight, or we could consider it next month, whatever the pleasure of the committee.
Would anyone like to speak on school choice? So at this time, I'll close the public hearing for school choice, and we'll move on to the regular agenda items, and then we'll bring it up for the rest of the committee to ask questions if they'd like once we get to that part in the agenda. Okay. So now we have a regular hearing of visitors. Would anyone like to speak?
Wendy, do you mind if I were to say something?
Go ahead.
So this is just more in general type stuff. Stuff that I just kind of want to get out, just publicly get out there. So I was elected in the spring of 2017. Been every meeting since I was elected through the end of last school year. We never had any of our hearing of visitors never got personal. And for even the last 3 meetings, the majority of those speaking have stuck to the facts, have followed our policy on the hearing of visitors, but in 2 of the last 3, there were people that didn't. They there were comments made towards school committee members, towards parents, towards staff members. Nobody knew these were gonna happen. It is what it is at this point. I wish I had done something during those meetings to try to stop it, honestly. I can't change the past, though. What I can do is try to fix the future in our meetings going forward. So what I'm asking is, Wendy, if anybody else gets up and starts making any kind of personal comments about anybody, that I just ask that you to call them out of order and ask them to either stop speaking on that topic or stop speaking altogether. And what I'm gonna let everybody know, if that doesn't occur or it doesn't work, I will make a motion to adjourn. For those of you that don't know, if I make a motion to adjourn and it's seconded and it gets a majority vote, our meeting ends right then and there. That's when our meeting ends, and we'll pick it up at another date and we'll take care of everything we have to do at that time. But I don't want to see us get to a point where I've seen videos and where the Today Show had this past weekend in Florida. We're not there, we're not close to there, but I don't want us to even get remotely close to there. So this is the best way I feel I can fix this and stop this from happening in the future. So that was it. Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. So at this time, if we have no other hearing of visitors, we're going to go to the reading and approval of records. I'd like to get a motion to approve the September 28th, 2021 minutes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I'm good.
Thank you. So next up, we have the report of the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, which,
Tonight, Steve Shannon's gonna do.
okay. So music department update is from Steve Shannon. He's the director of the music department, for anyone that doesn't know.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to speak to you tonight about our music department. We're in somewhat of a unique situation in that there's really two components to our program. One is our curricular program, which happens during our school day, and then there's our co-curricular program, both of which have much more visibility within the community due to the nature of our performance groups. Like math, music is progressive and sequential in nature in that you need to master one set of skills before you can start tackling the next set or more challenging or advanced skills. So starting an instrument in grade 4 or 5 is not unlike the first time a child steps onto that soccer field at age 6 or 7. And if you had a child at 6 or 7 step onto a soccer field, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They may not necessarily show a lot of progress or promise at that time, but in that first season, but for the most part, it gets better and easier with time and practice. Therein lies our biggest challenge in the music program, and that's how do we actively engage students to persevere through to those days where those dividends will pay off. Participation in music happens in many different ways throughout a student's life in Abington Public Schools, but the heart of our department is really our performance groups, and that part of our program is the most visible part. So at this time, I can walk you through the PowerPoint that was included in your agenda and talk a little bit about our strengths, some of our challenges, and where we're going to go from here. First and foremost, I think our biggest strength is our staff. I'm grateful and thankful to work with a very committed, dedicated staff who are trying to provide as many opportunities for students as possible to participate in active music making, especially post-COVID and post-shutdown and hybrid learning. We have a wonderful elementary music specialist in Ms. Valancourt who is doing this fabulous curriculum with the Feyerabend method, which is really getting students actively moving and singing and becoming musical literacy, working on their musical literacy through solfege singing. We have our middle school band teacher who, part of our goal this year in general in the department is to really re-engage students and get every student who tells us that they want to perform or participate in our music program at any grade level, we're going to give them that opportunity if we can get an instrument in their hands or do whatever we can to get them in the door. So I'm blessed to work with Mr. Leonelli and Mr. Blanchett. And we were seeing all aspects of our program grow pre-COVID. And Mr. Schaefer had mentioned earlier about the benefit of the new building at 201 Glenowitz and what that building allowed us to do. Very Field of Dreams like, if you build it, they will come. And it allowed our program to grow because we had the space and the facility to grow it. And it was happening. And then March 2020 happened. Back to our strengths, though, I do feel like we are very proactively creating a safe and positive learning environment. We feel that SEL, social emotional learning, is embedded into our content area, and that we take it to the next level by deliberately incorporating into lessons and engaging students in that way. The student enthusiasm coming back after the hybrid remote learning piece has been great. Students were chomping at the bit to get back to singing and playing. And that was really encouraging and exciting for all of us in the department to know that the students were still there. We just had to sort of find ways to get them re-engaged and hook them back in. And another strength is that all our students currently receive music instruction in grades K through 8. And like I said, our program is growing pre-COVID in every area. Some of our challenge, though, is, and some of this is very much related to COVID, because my thought is that we were very disproportionately affected during remote and hybrid learning because of the restrictions that were in place for singing and playing. And for our 4th through 8th grade students, they did not have an opportunity to actively play and sing last school year. Our high school students were able to do that in a limited capacity, not just through hybrid learning, but even some of those restrictions still put a lot of, sort of distancing measures in place, but we were able to sustain. Another of our challenges is scheduling. I think when we built this new school, the very first year, we were on a matching schedule. We were period 1 at the high school, period 2 at the high school, match period 1 at the middle school. And we were able to really coordinate our classes and our scheduling that way because of a variety of reasons, mostly, I think, due to bus schedules and start and stop of school times. Our challenge has been that it's not just shared staff, but it's really the shared space. So it's trying to really coordinate the overlapping bell schedules to maximize the use of our music and our arts areas, which are all being used almost to full capacity on a daily basis. Another of our scheduling challenges is that a lot of our high school chorus and our high school band are really competing, in a sense, with other semester electives and other AP classes. And this has prevented a lot of students being able to continue their work in high school music, at least on a consistent basis. And then another one of our challenges with scheduling right now, currently our K-2 classes at the Beaverbrook are really running back to back, and those are 30-minute music classes that don't always get the full benefit of that full instruction because of the way students are coming in and out of a room or a teacher's going to and from a room. Our staffing, as much as I work with a great staff, we are teaching at full capacity. We're stretched to our fullest limits. Some of us are teaching outside of our specialty areas, and we are still struggling to recover from cuts that have been made over time. I've been here now for I'm in my 34th year, and I've seen those hard times, those lean times, and I fully understand why decisions get made the way they are made. I understand the challenges that school committees and districts face when it comes to making hard decisions about budget, but we still haven't fully recovered. When I first started teaching in 1988, we had 5 full-time music teachers and at least 4 tutors that were working with us, and now we're at 3.6. 33 years later, still working towards rebuilding that. We've also lost instructional time. So when I first started teaching our elementary programs, we're getting 45 minutes of music instruction, and we're down to 30 over time. And we've yet to be able to really fully restore that. So that continues to be a challenge for us. Another area of challenge is really retaining students, mostly in our instrumental program, from the beginning stages of playing at the early grades through our middle school into our high school program. And then another challenge that I've mentioned here at the bottom is some of the disparities between the director and department head roles really compound some of our challenges in our K-12 programs, and so as well as our wellness, health, and PE and our art classes. It's sort of a different set of circumstances which allow us to teach an additional class, 5 classes, as opposed to the department heads who can max out at 4 classes. And that, where it maximizes resources at a district level, it really puts some constraints on what we can do departmentally. The next piece of our puzzle here is just some enrollment numbers, just to give you an idea of sort of where we are. I didn't go any further back than the year that we went to hybrid or to the shutdown, because I just wanted to sort of frame it where we were before and sort of where we are right now. So on that third slide, or that third sheet, you can see that all Abington Middle School music classes in 2021 were general music classroom experiences due to restrictions during remote and hybrid learning. That means our grades 5 through 8 students were all in a classroom music experience. And as hard as we tried to provide them with instrumental and singing opportunities during remote learning, there was just no way for students to actively engage in music making through a computer with a teacher, and especially for our young students who hadn't had much experience singing or playing, they were just floundering, and it just didn't give us the success that we would have liked. In 2021 and 21-22, our students, this year we made a decision, we were going to do this regardless of COVID, start our instrumental students in grade 5. In the past, we've done it in grade 4, and we've been tossing about this idea for many, many years. And because of the number of instructional minutes in grades 3 and 4, which is 30 minutes, versus our middle school classes, which is 50 minutes, we felt it was a much better use of our time and resources to start students in grade 5 this year. We would have had to start them in grade 5 anyway because they didn't get a chance to start in grade 4 last year. We're going to try this moving forward and see if that also helps our retention rate. So for example, in the 1920 school year, those 4th graders, even before the shutdown, were just getting going. They maybe had 8 to 10 music classes where they had instruments in hands, and then it just sort of fell apart from there. When we have a day off of school, whether it's Memorial Day or Veterans Day, and those students have their special on a Monday, they lose a full week of instruction, music instruction, by not having that Monday class due to a holiday. So those were some of our rationale behind that decision, and we're hoping that this will also help our retention rate between grades 5 and 6. Our grades 7 and 8 classes meet together at the middle school, so our combined band and chorus classes or combined general music classes. Our retention rates between those grade levels is fairly good and consistent, and I don't have a specific breakdown of those, but we can start to see in grades 5 to 6 in the 2019-20 school year versus when they enter 7th and 8th grade band, there's a significant drop in engagement. This year, we had 163 sign up in our grade 5 and 6 band, which is great. So we have a lot of new instrumental students, and actually we see our middle school numbers grow. I think this is a sign of how anxious kids were to get back to playing music. So it's an encouraging number. But we also then see our numbers drop again at our high school band or our high school chorus. Our high school band dropped to 29 in 2019-20, and again down to 24 this year. And we actually had 25 students. We lost a big group of seniors. We had a nice influx of 9th grade students this year, so that kind of kept our level the same over last year. But I do want to point out that 34 students had signed up for band, and through the scheduling process at the high school, we were not able to schedule 10 students for band. And that, when it comes to a band, that's a lot of kids for us. You'll notice a big disparity between our grade 7 and 8 chorus numbers and our between 2019 and 20 and our 2021-22 school year. Some of that is that we did a little bit different scheduling approach this year. We weren't sure what the safety restrictions were going to be and the distancing requirements were going to be. So we were able to actually manage 2 things that kept those numbers under control and better. I personally like the 80 number as opposed to the 192, and if you've been to a middle school chorus concert, you'll know what I'm talking about. Many of those kids, opted for music, but necessarily didn't always have a passion for singing. This group, I think, came in eyes wide open, ready to do some singing, and I also am in a position where, as opposed to 2 years ago where I was only teaching 1 middle school class as a shared staff member, this year I'm able to give 2 periods to that, which also helped control some of our section numbers, which are much more balanced than they had been in the past. And so that sort of explains some of our numbers. And as I mentioned previously, part of our struggle at the high school particularly is really these single classes like a band or a chorus running up against other single classes. And so, we're always looking at options to try and mitigate that as best as we can. And then in my closing statement, I just said, last year really truly was a gap year for many of our students. It wasn't just learning loss. There was a gap in their music education from a performance standpoint. So we're working really hard this year to recover that, but that really is a shared effort. And I think it's a conscious choice that I'm hoping we can all make, is that if we want to see these performance groups thrive, that it needs to be, you know, kind of a collective effort to sort of encourage and do that. And that has not been for lack of support administratively. We've had really great conversations, and the district's been very supportive of the things I've asked for them to help us move forward. And I appreciate that very much, and we look forward to continuing that in the future. So happy to entertain any questions if you have them.
Anyone have questions?
I'm just wondering, do you have any suggestions around that scheduling piece, especially in the high school? I mean, it seems like such a shame to me that someone who maybe was, you know, in band or chorus all the way through couldn't continue in their senior year or their junior year if they wanted to, or is it just that's the way it is?
It's tough. And, you know, I mean, Mr. Boren could attest to the fact that we had many conversations in the spring, and it's not without, you know, for lack of trying, certainly looking at it. And sometimes it's just where the numbers land.
Yeah.
And, you know, you plug everything into the computer, you run the best case scenario, and this is what the computer spits out. But it's something we are definitely interested in trying to improve upon.
And do you have a choice for the spring musical yet? Because I always look forward
I'm
to
glad
that.
you brought that up. Actually, we're moving our musical to December because similar to when we moved in the new building, we did a joint production with the middle school for Oliver, and it was a great way to initiate the space. And after a year of not performing, we felt this was a good year to combine our groups again. And we're performing Elf the Musical,
Oh, boy.
based on the Will Ferrell movie, and that's going to be December 9th, 10th, and 11th. I've reached out to Marty at the health department to talk about, you know, if there's going to be any limitations in terms of seating and what we might need to do to make that a safe experience for people to come and support and participate in live theater, which we're excited about.
Thank you.
Question, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Go down the table.
So I heard you make mention of people teaching outside of their specialty areas. Is that keeping someone from teaching an actual music-based class, or is that?
No, that's a great question. It's not. But what I feel is that if we were able to in the future increase instructional minutes at the elementary school, for example, at the Beaverbrook or the Woodsdale, and restore going back to 35 or 40-minute classes, then that could potentially mean more staffing, yes, but it also gives us opportunities to be more creative about what we are offering kids as well. So it's not preventing actual music instruction from happening based on our current numbers, but you know, when you take somebody out of their element, it's not the same.
One, I guess, comment for parents out there at home who, or even in here, who maybe didn't take part in music or play an instrument. That instrument night can be so daunting to people, and as someone who has now lived through 3 stages of the entering cruise ship / coughing duck noise that comes from the bedroom when kids are learning how to play instruments, it's not sexy, I can promise you that. But also, when we built the new school, I had no feelings about watching that old school come down until the day the music room came down. And I parked outside and I cried. Because we often forget how much music just affects all of our lives. When the shutdown happened, the things that people gravitated towards were art and music, because they're healing and they're helpful and they're wonderful. So I just hope people understand there's space for everything. And if there are people out there who haven't participated somehow in the music department or gone to a musical or taken their kids to a concert, I hope that they take the time to do that, because quite frankly, the music department is what got me out of bed in the morning when I was in high school. And it's what kept me on my feet when I couldn't stand for myself. So I thank you and I thank the department. I'm looking at you, Mr. Leonelli, too. And honestly, take the moment to listen to your kid make really appallingly bad noises on their instrument when they get them, because someday it's going to be beautiful.
It does get better.
And you want to encourage them to keep it up. And, you know, it might not seem like a big deal, but these are the things that can change lives in like the best possible way. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Wait, I was gonna really, because I had a quick
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I figured just easy to go down. Mr. Shannon, thanks for coming. First, I just have a quick one. So my oldest is in 6th grade. So last year, 5th grade was obviously, so I don't know that much about, I know how it works K through 4 pretty well. So if they don't do an instrument or chorus in the middle school, is there a music class that they still have?
That is correct. So
Okay.
grades 5 and 6, our general experience with Mr. Blanchett meets opposite the band experience. We don't offer a 5th and 6th grade chorus offering during the day. In the past, we've had an after-school chorus for grades 5 and 6. For 7 and 8, they also have a general music experience. So if they're not in chorus or band, they are in a general music experience.
Okay.
So all those kids will get some form of music instruction through grade 8.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was it.
My question was just related to FTEs. I know that we need a money tree in Abington,
Right.
and we haven't figured out how to grow one yet. But is there any chance to have teachers be building specific? What would it take? How many FTEs?
We've had many thoughtful conversations about this, haven't we, Mr. Schaefer? About
Yes.
about FTEs.
I thought for sure we were gonna do it too, and then
It's,
we didn't.
you know, Beaverbrook, Woodsdale, and if you separate grades 5 and 6 or 7 and 8, there's the AMS, and then there are 4, so it'd be 4. You know, and again, it really would be about, for me, it's not about having 6 people, it's about what the offerings can be. And so, and with that does come an increase in staffing. If we're going to increase minutes, we're going to have to increase staffing, right? So I think for particularly one of our goals at the elementary, and this is where Dr. Smith, who was here before Ms. Valancourt, we're introducing this wonderful curriculum at the Beaverbrook that really actively engaged students in music making, like singing, movement, and that, you know, is the groundwork that we're hoping to lay into our grades 4 and 5 curriculum, as well as into our 5-6 curriculum, which will then start to, you know, hopefully, you know, grow up from there. So it does equate to more FTEs, full-time employees, but with that, we're hoping that the increase in instructional minutes will help facilitate some of that too. And then also give us, then offer a variety of offerings. So maybe there's opportunities for enrichment as well as the classroom experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to recognize you and your department. Everybody had challenges. Everybody continues to have challenges with COVID. The music department has had extraordinary and unusual challenges just because of the physical requirements of your area, whether it's with a drama production or singing or instruments. This unbelievable, different than any other department. And again, everybody's had their challenges, but you came through with your department and the people in the music department absolutely as best you could. And I know that it wasn't what we wanted for the kids, and I know that the kids suffered, especially in this area, like other areas, but you can't recreate being remote, the experience that you have with a drama production or a singing production or an instrument with all of the restrictions. And I'm just very proud of what you did with your department, the passion that you have to make sure that the show must go on, and you solved problems as best you could. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I mean, to that end too, when you say that, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were one of the first people affected when you lost your production that very mid-weekend in March.
Opening night.
That's when everything.
No one saw.
Yeah, so everything started to happen. So that.
I know,
Well, see,
tickets,
that
I was
all
like,
happened at
yeah,
once.
we even had our tickets ready to go. I know,
you.
such a bummer.
Thank you, Steve, that was great. Next up, we have the World Language Department update from Patricia Grabowski, the department head.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To speak about the strength and areas that need improvement within my department. First and foremost, as every other teacher, a director, a department head has said, it's definitely the teachers. Then the rest of it would not be possible without them. I am very lucky to have wonderful staff. Veteran staff, they're passionate, they're dedicated, they belong to professional organizations, they collaborate. Oftentimes, they don't wait until, well, we have a meeting, let's talk about this. We speak to one another on a daily basis. Somebody will come up to somebody else in the department and say, I tried this really worked well, let me share this with you. Or the opposite, they may say, you know, I tried this, didn't go so well, do you have any ideas? So I am really blessed with the wonderful department. We are working on something during CPT and we don't finish it. They come after school and we work on it after school. So I am really, really blessed to have a wonderful, caring department. They engage in PD. They enroll in courses to improve their own performance. They teach for proficiency and they sponsor trips to other countries. They use comprehensible input and aim for 90% of use of the target language in the classroom. Our curriculum focuses on the 5 C's: communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, communities, and we use the interpretive, personal, and presentational modes of communication, as well as social justice and social emotional growth as endorsed by Actville, our national organization, and the Massachusetts framework. We contribute to vision of the graduate, especially in social competence. We collaborate with other schools. I belong to a networking group of districts on the South Shore, and we meet virtually, and also we send, if we have a question, we will contact one another through emails, and so I have a feel for what's going on in other schools. I can say, what do you do about this, and we collaborate, so that's a wonderful resource. We're interdisciplinary. We promote proficiency in other subjects. We help the social studies department. We teach history. We help the art department. We teach art. We help the music department. We teach music. In the past, we have collaborated with the art and the music department. We've created units together about Gaudi and famous artists from Barcelona. And we also have collaborated with the music department and have written grants and have had groups come into school and perform. Last year, we implemented the STAMP test, which tests for students' proficiency in the language. We piloted the STAMP by literacy. 39 students opted to take the test, and I think considering what in the state we were in with the pandemic, they did very well. 14 earned the seal of biliteracy, and 6 of them were seniors, and 7 of them were juniors. So that's quite a feat because it's not an easy task to earn the seal of biliteracy, and 3 of them earned the seal in 2 languages. Okay, areas that need improvement. We need to look at our assessments. If we're teaching for proficiency, we want to make sure that we're assessing for proficiency. And so this year, we're going to take a look at our assessments and make sure that our assessments and our expectations and expected levels of proficiency align. Time. I find time to be an issue, as I said, that often we have to meet, we don't finish, I'm glad that we have CPT, but sometimes we don't, even at that, we don't finish what we need to discuss, and the people in the department will come after school. So I find time to be an issue, more so with the middle school, because this year, other than the first day of school, I was really only officially scheduled to meet with the teachers at the middle school on the 2 PD days, the early release days. So we need more time as a department as a whole to implement initiatives. Also, I think Steve alluded to this, that time for the directors. We have pretty full schedules, and so it's difficult to do everything that we would like to do with the schedules, with the teaching loads that we have. The one language offering, students should have more of a choice than just one language. The FLES, the foreign language in elementary schools, would like to bring the languages down to the lower grades. We have students on IEPs. In the World Language Department, since I was there, since I was at the since I came to the high school, until 3 years ago, we never had any support for students on IEPs in our classrooms. And 3 years ago, we did get some support, but now this year we don't have it again because of the shortage of staff. So that would be a help. I would also directors don't contribute to teacher evaluations. And so I think that would, that's a weak area too, because I think that it would be beneficial for the teachers to have somebody that teaches that discipline to also contribute to their evaluations. Okay, what we are addressing, assessments. Okay, this year we decided to use the backward by design model. We're looking at our can-do statements, what the students we should be able to do, what they can do it. To make certain our statements, our assessments, and expected proficiency levels align. Time administration has offered to have teachers' classes covered to allow for more time to meet as an entire department, the teachers at the middle school. Mr. McCurtain said that he would get coverage for them and let them come to our CPT time at the high school. Proficiency, what we plan on, just as the students are on the path to proficiency, the teachers are on a path to teaching for proficiency. So to help us, we plan on attending network and implementation meetings offered by DESE. They're going to have some implementation meetings beginning in February, as well as look into professional development offered by Avant, the company that makes the stamp test, and Mathlis Proficiency Academy. I attended Mathlis Proficiency Academy, and I found that invaluable. I learned so much. It was 4 days. During the summer, it was 4 days, morning till early afternoon, and I think that is one of the best things that the teachers can do is to attend that Proficiency Academy. We plan on continuing the stamp test and the seal of biliteracy. This year, we're going to give it in grade 8. This November, at the end of the year, grade 8. This November, we're giving it to the grade 9 students, and then in March, we'll be giving it to Spanish 4 or 5 students who are juniors, seniors, and also students who are juniors and seniors who may want to take it in a language other than Spanish. You know, they may speak a different language at home, and because we had quite a few of them take it last year when we piloted. Okay, long range, okay? The one language issue. Mr. Bourne and I have been discussing the possibility of starting another language. The FLES, that's something we really need to discuss, bringing the language down to the 5th and 6th grade. We need to increase staff to have support for students on IEPs in our classrooms. And it would be good to train directors so that they at least contribute to the teacher's evaluation, since they're the ones that are the experts in the field in which the teacher teaches. It would be nice to start an AP Spanish course. People ask sometimes why we haven't had one. Our enrollment has been small, and students have said that they don't want an AP course. A lot of them are taking AP courses, and they didn't want another AP course. And if it were an AP course, they wouldn't take it. And so to at least keep that small amount that we have, we have been keeping it at an honors course and not an AP course. But our numbers are going up, so we may have enough to actually run both. And it would be nice to start a Spanish Honor Society. It would be an incentive, and it would recognize the students' achievements. And then my statistics. Enrollment after 2-year graduation requirement. It was a little bit hard to tell the Spanish 3 to get the numbers exact, because some students are in Spanish 3 because they have to be, because they started Spanish in 9th grade at 2, so they have to take 3 because you need 2 years of a language for a graduation requirement. But some students repeated 1, and so they finished the requirement after 2. So there isn't like, okay, they're all done after Spanish 2, or they're all done after Spanish 3. It's a mix. So, in the year 2019, from Spanish 3, we had 112, and 65 went on to Spanish 4. In 2020, we had 99 in Spanish 3, and 72 went on to Spanish 4. In 2021, we had 115, and 75 went on to Spanish 4. In 2019, we had 61, and we didn't run a course that next year. We only had 5 students that were able to fit it into their schedule. Just as Steve said, it's a scheduling. When you only have one section of a course, and we're not a large school, it's difficult to, sometimes the scheduling issues are very difficult. Okay, and then 2020, we had 65 and 18 went on to Spanish 5. 2021, we had 72, and there's 2 numbers there because originally 31 did sign into Spanish 5, but because of scheduling problems, only 25 were able to take it. Then the retention rates. Our retention rate in 2020 was 58% for Spanish 3 to 4. 2021 was 72.7%, and this year 22 is 65.2%. From 4 to 5, it was the year 1920 to 20, it was 8%. The year 2021 was 27.7%. And this year to Spanish 5, if you count the 31 that originally signed in, it's 43, but as I said, we only could fit in 25, so it's 34.7. And I was asked for the number that stay in the course once they're in it. So Spanish 4 in 2020, we started with 65 and nobody dropped the course. 2021, 72, nobody dropped the course. And this year, so far, only 1 student dropped the course. And Spanish 5 in the year 2018-2019, 2 out of 15, 2 dropped, so 13.3. 2021, 18, we started with 18, 3 dropped, so 16.6. And 21-22, we started with 25 this year and 3 dropped, so that's 12%. And the number of seniors enrolled in a Spanish course in 19 to 20 was 13. The year 2021 was 29, and 21 to 22 is 45. Sometimes the students don't follow, usually they do follow right away the 2-year sequence, 9th grade, the Spanish 1 or the Spanish 2, and then go, but sometimes they start later, and so sometimes seniors are scattered throughout. In my Spanish 2 this year, I have probably about 5 seniors, so sometimes they're scattered throughout. So that's why the number doesn't correlate with the Spanish 5, because they're not all in Spanish 5. And thank you. Any questions?
Do you want me to start down there?
Sure, I have no questions, just, comment, thank you as someone who has 2 daughters who are seniors, who have continued with Spanish through senior year. It's a great program. They have enjoyed every language class that they have taken. I didn't have to force them to take Spanish senior year or even encourage them. We were lucky that it fit into their schedule and they were able to do it. So just, thank you for this information. It's nice to see the numbers are going up a little, but, just like with the music, I think it's important to find a way. Again, it's a shame if a senior wants to take Spanish 5 and they're not able to because of scheduling.
Right.
My turn.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. Gracias.
Well done.
Seriously, with the last name, it helped my kids get to take Spanish. When did we go down to only 1 language in Abington? Do you happen to know? Or I guess why are we down to
Mr.
1
Shaker,
language?
would you know the year? I don't remember the year.
I want to say, Pat, was it 3 or 4 years ago? Or is it longer than that?
I don't think it was that long ago.
Well, at the middle school, the middle school was quite a while ago. Here,
Okay, because you had students in French.
Yeah, here at the high school, it was just, I was teaching French 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was just
I was
okay.
teaching French.
Okay.
At the middle school, though, I don't remember the year.
It was longer at the middle school.
And so was it a staffing, was it a budgetary, was it lack
It was
of?
low enrollment, because
Okay.
years ago, I was at the middle school and I used to teach French and Spanish. And so we had both languages, and so when the students came here, we had students that had taken both and they could opt for either. But then when we lost the French at the middle school, we don't have it feeding into, and so when the students come up here, they've already taken Spanish, why not continue with Spanish? And so the French enrollment was really low. It wasn't, and it was you tying up a teacher for like 6, 7 students that were enrolled into it. So
Right.
we dropped the French.
And so I know that you were saying you're in discussion with Mr. Bourne about down the road offering another, are you talking French again, or is there another language you are potentially?
Well, Mr. Bourne had mentioned Portuguese.
Okay, that's, all right,
And I agree. I agree.
perfect. Thank you.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. How many Spanish teachers do you have at the high school right now?
We have 4 full-time,
And at the middle school?
2 full-time, 1 part-time.
And then for the AP, I'm sorry, the Spanish Honor Society, what would that consist of?
It's just like a National Honor Society, but it's only for Spanish. And you have to attain certain averages and you have to do community service, just like a regular Honor Society.
And would you speak in Spanish during the meetings?
Hopefully.
Okay.
I hope so. If they're in an Honor Society, yes.
So for the IEPs, you said that students with IEPs, you would need to staff them. Would you need one or like a floater, or how many?
Well, it would depend how many students were in IEP.
Okay. And then with the 25 students you mentioned that are in the level 5, are they all in one class, or is that a couple
They're all in
classes?
one class.
Okay. Thank you. I
welcome.
appreciate that.
I just had one, Ms. Grabowski, thank you. I just have one question. So it's going to piggyback off of something Wendy just mentioned about the IEPs. And I know you mentioned a couple of times support staff for students on IEPs, but just because of that nature, I just want to confirm for, I guess, anybody, and even Dr. Robbins, Mr. Bourne, Mr. Schaefer can jump in, though, that while I'm free to admit my son's on one, it can probably always be better, but that at least the minimum IEP support is being met for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So do you want me to?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Okay, yeah, so, and if I get it wrong, James or Jonathan, let me know. So, it's about shifting resources to those areas so we're following every IEP the way that it's written to provide service for those students in their different subject areas. And it's about shifting the resources from the world language support to other areas to maintain the students' IEPs and to make sure that we're faithfully executing what's in those agreements. So that's the shift, I believe, that's occurred. How'd I do?
Great. And I just underline that absolutely every IEP is being met. So it's not the case that we have students who have IEPs that indicate that there should be foreign language support who don't. It's just the case that the nature of the tasks at 9th grade foreign language learning.
Do you know what? You should probably go to the microphone, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think Kevin is
Sorry.
having a hard
Trying to
time
hear you.
hearing you.
Well, when it's recorded on cable, we'll all hear what you said, but the people at home won't know what you said.
Sorry, thank you,
Thanks,
Dr.
Jim.
Robbins.
Yeah, no problem. So it's definitely the case that all IEPs are being adhered to in 9th grade, and with respect to paraprofessional support. And so the idea of para support when it comes to 9th grade foreign language, there are a number of schools of thought on that, but the tasks that are being asked of students in 9th grade is the idea is that it's elementary language learning, but in a different language. So it's the case that students at 9th grade, even if they have disabilities, ought to be able to participate in the tasks like learning vocabulary and composing simple sentences, and sort of the oral language, expressive language, and decoding tasks should really all be within a ninth grader's repertoire, even one with disabilities, because otherwise they'd be 6, 7 grade levels behind. So I hope that logic makes sense.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And it's more thorough than I provided, so thank you.
Can I ask you one other question? So I knew a couple of people when, back in middle school, that their kids didn't take Spanish. So I just want to know, and I don't know how to say this, but do you discourage some kids from taking it? And then they have a study instead, or are we actually helping these students take Spanish and have some extra help, or?
Yeah, so it is the case that at the middle school level, in order to access some special education support, like say academic support time, that comes at the cost of their participating in a middle school foreign language class. And there is a segment of students who have language-based disabilities or communication disabilities, and those students are considered at a unique disadvantage for language learning. And oftentimes in those cases, the foreign language requirement will be waived on their IEP, because it's considered just sort of an undue burden that they're at a disadvantage with their population, just due to their native wiring.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a lot, nothing bad, just lots of thoughts that I pre-planned so that I can get them all out. Just a couple things. First and foremost, thank you so much to both of you for coming. I want to say this every time to all of you who present. I said last week how grateful I am to have this opportunity to have you guys showcase the strengths of our departments and reflect on our areas of need and growth. I know that Superintendent Schaefer always says that we strive to place students first, and we do this by celebrating their successes and reflecting on what we can do better for them. So I am so grateful for this opportunity every month to hear from all the different departments. Just addressing the students on IEPs, I do think that all students can learn language because that's the one thing that all of them have proved they can do. They are great at speaking English if that's their native language or whatever they speak is their language at home. So they've already proved that they're experts at acquiring that language. It's just kind of rewiring them a little bit to learn the different nuances of languages. I this year have about 20 to 30 students on IEPs or ed plans, and I don't have any support in my classrooms. If they're appropriately leveled, and I know that we don't have that money tree that we so desperately need, but if we had the staffing to provide not lower levels, that's the wrong word to use, to have different tiered classes where you could move at a pace that's appropriate for their growth at that point. They thrive. I have I have all of those classes where the students have some greater needs, and they are honestly some of my most engaged, awesome students. So I celebrate them and I want to champion their cause. That doesn't mean that I couldn't use help here and there, but they are so good at acquiring that language. So I'm thinking of all of them right now. It makes me so happy. So for world language, in the world language world over the past 2 decades, comprehensible input and proficiency, like you said, are the IT buzzwords. But they're more than just a trend, and a combination of the elements of both are just sound, solid, good teaching and improve student performance. So I love that I'm hearing that. When you combine comprehensible input and proficiency-based teaching with each teacher's unique individual style and everyday best practices and activities, such amazing growth happens. I know that some people are a little resistant to doing it because you think you have to throw out everything that you did before, but that's not true. When this happens, mindsets change for both teachers and students, and the classroom becomes more alive. Students participate more, they're more confident, and they make gains in the 4 skills that we're helping them acquire: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And to me, most important, failing is rare it's so rare, you have to work so hard to fail. So all of this, as you start or continue on this journey, might help with the retention rate from Spanish 3 to 4 and 5. They're more confident and feeling more successful. I think that, I know they have to make tough choices, such tough choices. In districts where I've worked before, it was always between music and AP language. So they were pitted against each other. It was terrible. But it might help if they can fit it in, if they're not taking it because they're not confident or they're feeling unsuccessful. I think this will be huge for them. Making a switch to a more proficiency-based classroom was the best thing that I ever did. I fought it a little bit, parts of it, because I thought I had to give up what I already did, but the blend of it was such a great union. I will never look back. In fact, I wish I could go back to my earlier years and have a do-over. I feel like I owe my students, my former students, an apology or a grade change on their transcripts. I'm so pleased to see the World Language Department in Abington is starting to implement this shift in mindset and teaching. I know it's scary to abandon and overhaul what you're used to doing, but the rewards for both students and teachers, it was almost better for me. It's so worth it. I'm almost done. So one or two questions. What are the plans for more direct training to promote and enhance proficiency instruction? It's such a long journey. It's not a quick fix. Are we thinking of creating a 3 to 5 year action plan? I know that those are the numbers that are usually thrown around with action plans. What are our thoughts for that?
Well, as I said, this year we're going to work on the backward by design model. And then we'll see what comes out of that, how much more time we need. It's as I attend meetings, the DESE, we have a language specialist there now, and when the pandemic started, he started having meetings once a month, and as he said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so I couldn't say 3 years, 5 years, we're going to work on it and see where we get, but it will be a while. It will be a while.
And you had mentioned the Mathla Proficiency Academy, which is great. I would love to see, I know it's tough to give up a week. I don't know what post-COVID will look like, but there's also, I can share with you a training being offered in Wayland on January 7th that I can get to you. And then I was just wondering, proficiency is listed as kind of both a strength and area of improvement in the plan. Would you say it's more of an area of improvement until the teachers are trained, since we're kind of in progress? Would you say most of the teachers are there, or we're still getting our feet wet?
Well, we all teach for proficiency. Proficiency being, can the student use the language in the real world in a spontaneous way? So that's our goal, the goal for all of us. We're all at different places on how well we do it, let's say. We're all on our own path to teaching for proficiency.
Thank you.
And so we do need training.
I just wanted to say that I know that change is scary and exciting at the same time. I'm excited for you and this adventure that you and your teachers are on. And I'd love to check in at the end of the year or the end of the summer, whenever you guys start doing more trainings, and just get your thoughts and see if you guys are as excited about it as I was. And if you're finding it as
because as you said, I'm hoping the retention rates will go up because it's a more interesting class for the student. It's more engaging, they're more involved, they're not just memorizing verbs, conjugations, and so we're planning on getting there, lifting those retention rates.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing? I didn't mean to imply about the IEPs that we weren't, fulfilling our obligations. It would just be nice to have that extra, as one of my teachers said to me, that extra pair of hands in there when you have this one that needs, like one-on-one attention, but not specifically that they have a language disability. So I didn't mean to imply. So
Yeah, Mr. Buck, I didn't either, but I wanted to almost clarify for everybody. Do you want it almost that
sorry,
kind
I
of thing?
didn't mean
That's
to
okay.
imply that. They do, everybody in does a wonderful job with that, so I'm sorry if if that
For me.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was misunderstood, I'm sorry. It's just that teacher said to me, it would be nice to have that, because you have this student that, needs one-on-one, that's on an IEP, and this one, because of some of their IEPs, they aren't specifically language related, but they apply to what's going on in the class, and so a teacher could use that extra pair of hands and eyes. I didn't mean to imply that at all.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one other question?
Yes.
You said that there's 4 full-time teachers. So I know that they teach 5 periods?
Yes.
Okay, so all of the 4 full-time teach 5 periods?
No, I teach 4.
You teach 4, okay, and
I
then,
just teach one less.
okay, that makes sense. And then the middle school, you have 2 full and 1 part-time.
part-time.
So how many classes does the part-time teacher teach?
2,
2. And then it would be 5 as well?
right.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Very appreciative to have you.
Not all directors teach 4. Some,
More.
the other 3 teach 5.
Teach 5, okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Before we move on to the report of the Director of Student Services, I'd just like to introduce, if you don't mind, I'm sorry, Ellie Lindo. She is our student rep this year, and I'm assuming next year, if you like it still. Okay. Would you like to say a few words, Ellie, and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a junior at the high school, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Ellie. We appreciate it. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you.
So the report of the Director of Student Services, we're looking for an update of Special Education Parent Advisory Council, which is the CPAC, and English Language Learners Parent Advisory Council, which is the LPAC. Okay.
Got it.
All right, great. Thanks all for having me. So as Wendy mentioned, I will give an update on our CPAC, LPAC, and I had notes too to give a quick update on social emotional learning too. I think that's on.
It is, yep.
Yep. All right, great. Great.
Home education.
And home education.
All right,
We have 3.
a 4-parter. We included home loss. All right. Anyway, so I'll start with CPAC. So I have 3 updates on that topic. The first of which is just an acknowledgement and thank you. We have a new CPAC chairperson, and it is Brenda Mealy. So she has been a part of our organization for the past 3 years as a treasurer and is now our chairperson. So just acknowledgement of that and a thank you. And if anyone is here or watching at home and you'd like some input or want to share your experience with special education, you can always reach out to Brenda or, of course, any of us in the district. 2 other updates with respect to CPAC. On November 2nd, which is next Tuesday, we have our basic rights meeting. So the idea here is we contract with the Federation for Children with Special Needs, and they assign an attorney to come in with the idea of proactively educating parents on their legal rights with respect to education, with respect to special education. The idea being just that it's a complex process with many obscure procedures, and many parents may feel overwhelmed, and parents can be empowered with more information. So this is the district's and CPAC's effort to really empower parents. Additionally, we'll be having a meeting afterwards to share just general updates throughout the department. And parents can access this in 2 ways. They'll be able to access it virtually, and there's a registration link that's been sent out through Constant Contacts. And Teresa actually has a physical flyer in her hands, just if anyone wants to take a look. And you can also attend in person. This will be at the middle school, high school library from 6:30 to 8:30. And then the third update on CPAC is on Tuesday, November 23rd. CPAC has partnered with the administration of our middle school and high school to bring in a youth motivational speaker. His name is David Flood. a number of people have heard of him. He's had a number of viral videos. And the idea really is to communicate a message of inclusivity. So incorporating others, the concept that we're all the same, on the inside. There's a lot of messaging about no one eating alone and meeting and connecting with people who may seem unlike you. And also David has an adult son with nonverbal autism. So some portion of his speech, of his presentation really ties to that topic of working with individuals with disabilities. He's known to have a really powerful impact on the student body and has a really great presentation style. So we expect it'll go over well with our students. So he'll be presenting separately to our 5th and 6th graders, our 7th and 8th graders, and then our 9th through 12th graders. And then later that evening at 6:30, and details will be coming out through Constant Contact and our website and so on, he'll also be presenting to parents. And so the idea is that we could have we get better results from our kids when parents are hearing the same message as our students. So all of his messaging will be available to adults later that night. And we've checked with his agent, and it is the case that we can actually stream his message too. So you'll be able to participate either in person or virtually.
Did you say this was Tuesday, November 23rd?
Yep.
So that's the same night as our meeting? Okay.
We just realized that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in very frequent contact with with his representative, so I can pivot that date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
If we could ask them to move it, that'd be great.
Mhm.
And if not, we could always move the committee meeting if the committee would be willing to do that.
So I'm trying to figure out time, yeah.
Do we have to pay for David? Like, are we better off?
Well, you may be able to move them.
Yeah, because we had originally started with the date of, I believe it was the 15th, and we were just kind of like tossing around ideas in the building, and the idea of that week, that 21st, 22nd, 23rd being chunked up, it seemed to just work in the buildings to have a presenter that week, so we landed on that. But obviously we don't want to coincide with this meeting, so we can absolutely.
And if you can't move it, I can ask the
adjust
committee to
it.
reschedule.
No.
I'm happy to adjust our meeting.
We could see how easy it is for you to move it first, and then we could react depending on. Is that okay?
Yeah, that feels better.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd much rather us move ours. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. But don't go beyond, because it sounds like everybody here can, readjust the date for us.
We can probably pivot faster and easier.
Right.
Yeah, it feels better to me to recognize, hey, we made a foul here of a double booking. So let's kind of pivot.
Whatever works best.
Right.
Yeah, whatever works best is what we can do.
At any rate, it sounds like an amazing program.
If it doesn't work in the buildings, people here aren't going to want to sacrifice
No.
the flow of the building.
Right.
Correct.
The committee, I'm guessing the committee will want to move their meeting. So if you got to coordinate things and it's best to have it then, just check, and if that's the case, the committee can move.
Right, because I'm sure a lot of people here would like to see it as well.
All right, cool. All right,
And we
well,
don't want to
thanks
compete with the audience.
Right.
Yeah, well, thanks for being so gracious through this. So I'll move on to the next topic of LPAC. So this is the English Learners Parents Advisory Council. And so my bringing it up is one, to just bring attention to this organization. The existence of an LPAC becomes mandatory for school districts when they reach an enrollment of 100 English learners. As of this morning, our district has 201 English learners. So the LPAC was created about 3 years ago, and in that time they have created bylaws and chairpersons. And so I'd like to acknowledge our current chairpersons, which is Hiliana Oliveira and Isabella Mendez. And the purpose of the group is to provide an opportunity for parents to connect with one another, understand our English language education. That's what goes on in those programs and those services, and also to give them an opportunity to give us input on their child's experience and suggestions for improvement. And it should be noted that you don't have to be the parent of an English learner in order to participate. If this happens to be an interest area of yours, your input is also very much valued, and you're encouraged to attend. In the past, this group has advocated for summer program, after-school tutoring, and adult ESL classes, and all of those arrangements have been made a priority with our grant funding, in part due to the advocacy of this organization. So it's absolutely been a force for positive change in our district. The next meeting will be held at the end of November, not on the 23rd, but the date is still to be determined. This will be the meeting where they elect new chairpersons. They did that 1 year ago, so it's one of their bigger meetings. That information will come out through Constant Contact. So I just wanted to bring that up because not everyone knows that organization exists. Any thoughts or questions on the LPAC? All right, and two more topics. One of which is in a development on social emotional learning. So I just want to share a development in our effort to expand social emotional learning throughout our district. So as of September 29th, and this directly follows our most recent PD Day, all of our students at the middle school have been receiving weekly second step instruction, and this is on Wednesdays. So the homeroom period for students on Wednesdays has been extended for 22 minutes to allow for this instruction. It's what our district did is we purchased a site-based license so that all of our teaching staff have access to all the online resources. So this includes handouts, activities, videos, scope, and sequence. Second step for those who just who aren't aware of it is an evidence-based instruction that offers instruction on growth mindset and goal setting, emotional management, empathy and kindness, and problem solving. So all students in the building will be participating in this instruction, grades 5 through 8, and they'll all be participating on the same topics. So grade 5 will be participating on the same topic as grade 8, but the complexity of the material just goes deeper as you go on at grade level. All staff members in the building have access to these materials, and and the members of our teaching staff who don't have a homeroom, so think like our phys ed teachers, they'll be making use of some of the extension activities so that students are just getting reinforcement of the concepts that they're learning through second step. So as of this, we have availability of second step instruction for students from grades pre-K up through grade 8. So I want to share that information. Any questions on that topic?
I have a quick question. When did this start?
Right after September 29th. September 29th was our most recent PD Day, and so that was an important date in order to make sure all staff were trained. So that was the PD Day, and then it happens every Wednesday, so that following Wednesday.
So it's every Wednesday that you guys have the meeting? I'm sorry, that the homeroom is 22 minutes and all the kids do. I haven't heard of this.
Yeah.
Do you have any handouts that we can have, or do we have access to the website?
Yeah. So what we can absolutely do is provide some physical handouts on this. So I'm certain your students, your children, are seeing these, but they're also resources for parents that we can share. And what it looks like from the staff point of view is it's an online database. Like imagine logging into your Gmail. That's what it's like for a teacher. You log into an online platform. And from there, you'll see 20 different lessons that tie back to those 4 units that I had mentioned, in terms of growth mindset and emotion management and so on. And so it is actually 25 minutes because homeroom was 3 minutes to begin with. So you add the 22 on top of that. So at this point, I think they're probably, as of tomorrow, this will be their 3rd lesson on the topic. It'll go for 20 weeks, which is most of the school year.
So is this our website, or are kids logging on to a
No.
website that we pay for, or?
No, the students aren't interacting with the online database. It's basically
Okay.
staff. So it's almost as if like the staff are logging in to get the information, which they and then are turning around to students.
So we've been using second step at the elementary level.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. So this is what is nice about this is the electronic platform for our staff, which just makes more live time resources available. So as second step identifies new activities for kids, it's loaded up. Whereas in our elementary level, we currently have the physical kits. So that is just, it's almost like you bought it and you reuse it each year. So that's the difference.
But we can get handouts?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. We can. I'm sure we can send those along
Awesome.
within a day or two.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I have a question, please. At some point in time, either at week 20 or before, is there a chance to get feedback from the middle school students and the staff to see how it's affecting, how it's working, if it's something? Is there anything like that built into the program, I guess I'm wondering?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of informal assessment from the teachers to just sort of understand like the student's experience. Something like in terms of surveying, that's absolutely something that can be done. What is nice, like, so one thing that has come up in past years is that a general understanding of social emotional learning instruction might feel at times like hokey for teachers.
Yes.
So like, oh, this, especially for a middle school population who like, we just know the developmental level, right? But the idea is that through the resources that we've got, because they're constantly in development and we have access to them online as opposed to like static physical materials, that it's like they're found to be just really flexible and engaging for students. And we have a lot of video and interactive kind of features. So it's less like teacher kind of reading a script.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Sorry. So we're assessing the kids on empathy and kindness?
No.
Okay,
No.
so what is the assessment?
No, I'd say that that's a skill we're trying to build.
Right, so, but you said it's assessment, like that the website is
No.
being used as an assessment.
I think I had said in response to Heidi's question that they're informally assessing students' experience so that they know whether or not it's like
So while someone's teaching, they get an idea of how the kids are doing. And these are online resources that the teacher is using to help the students. Students aren't at computers like getting
Right,
assessed.
so are there, but from what they're writing down, and then the teacher sees what they write, and then what do they do with that information?
So I would say most often it's more experiential because what this is, what there's not right now are state-based standards to say you need to achieve this for your students by the end of the school year. So really what it is it's just a period of about 25 minutes during the week where students get to take time to like reflect on the concept of empathy and the concept of emotion management or new strategies so that they can better deal with the stressors in their life. And it's also a research-supported technique, which just shows improvements in skill in kids' ability to manage difficult emotions, make like productive connections with others, and it's actually associated with higher academic achievement. So it's something a lot of school districts, virtually all school districts, are trying to implement, and so something that I personally wouldn't feel concerned about is the idea that we're developing artifacts that can be reviewed by others on kids' emotional experience. What it really is just teaching, because if you don't directly teach it, what happens more often is like the development of like negative emotional habits and negative mindsets. Because the idea is if we just leave it to chance, we see what happens. We see rising mental health concerns and risk-taking behavior. And so we're trying to intervene before so that children develop like positive mental habits.
What might help is if you have an example of what talking about a growth mindset with a group of students might be. Do you have, maybe could you just spend a minute describing that so that we have maybe a more specific and concrete example?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so say you're an 8th grader and it's your first pre-algebra assessment and you get a 6 out of 10. For most kids, that would be a bit discouraging. And where kids are at developmentally is they tend to fall into the negative mindset of either catastrophizing or all or nothing. And so I got a 6 out of 10 on my first pre-algebra quiz. I am not a math person. So therefore, as I go through math instruction, this isn't for me. This isn't something I connect with. I'm not wired to do math. That's kind of a negative mindset that a lot of kids have. And it leads to negative results. And as a result, they may be less inclined to really put a lot of work into developing their math skills. They may not take math-oriented electives. They may see STEM as alienating. A whole bunch of fields of occupation are now cut off from them because they're not math people. But the idea of growth mindset is the idea that by simply setting goals and by seeing your capability, seeing yourself as being able to grow in any area, it just requires concerted effort and changing your strategy. You don't see yourself as, say, a math person or not. You see yourself as someone who got a 6 out of 10 on a math assessment, but have the capability to grow over time.
So that's what the teacher is talking about with the students during that 25-minute period on Wednesdays.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay, I need to see it. I'm sorry. Who else has questions?
You can see it. I could tell that you.
Yeah, I can definitely tell.
A more specific explanation might be beneficial, but we'll get it to you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have anything.
No, it sounds great, thank you.
Great, thank you. And then just the last item is that included in your packet is a number 3 requests for homeschooling. And so I've reviewed the proposals and they meet state guidelines. So I turned it over to the committee to vote.
Thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the additional home education programs for the 2021-2022 school year as recommended?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you for everything, for coming tonight. We appreciate it. So now we have the report of the superintendent of schools.
So in your packet, you have something that Jessica Johnson put together. I'm sorry her name wasn't on this. I realized later that it wasn't on there. Jessica provides this to you. I won't read it to you, but I just want to highlight a couple of things. Jessica's been the committee's representative liaison to Abington CAM. She's been great. I talked to Kevin Tachi earlier today, and I've talked to him, talked to him quite frequently a little bit about the program. Jessica's been great as a representative. She's been communicative. She's been a part of everything as a board that has gone on over the last, since she's been a member, since you appointed her. She's interested in doing it again. This is her summary. And again, I won't read it to you, but just highlight a couple of things for people in the community. The Abington CAM has worked in all of our buildings with all of our different student populations to one degree or another. Most of all at the high school. I think it lends itself, a couple reasons. Physically, that's where the studio is. Also, the age of the students and the level of sophistication with technology they're at a point where they're really primed for this experience with cable. So we have student interns that have been working in the studio. They've done projects like Wave Week Wednesday, Abington's Got Talent, and Open Mic Night. We know that the cable has also covered for the community a number of different things that were really important, especially during COVID, when grandparents or parents or people couldn't see some of the things that we wanted them to see that we're very proud of. We're very proud of our students. They're proud of their work, like graduation, National Honor Society, or different sporting events, plays. And it's to watch our students work these events, and I guess I'm going to say it again, the level of sophistication with the technology and the way they communicate and integrate and make it look easy, and it's not easy. When you think about cable production, it's not only just recording the content, but there's also producing and the editing and putting everything together. And so we're really proud of the skills that our students are developing in the cable studio, and it has created students that wanted to go off and do this for a living and go off to college and do this work. We're proud of that. But it's healthy to have these connections with the community so the community knows what we're doing also. And so it's really a win-win-win, because hopefully it's also a benefit for the cable studio. You're creating these disciples that are able to go out in the community and tape other things. I'm showing they don't tape them anymore, but you digitally record them so the community can see them. At the middle school, there's been a film camp where they've done short films. They've published the concerts that have taken place at the middle school. At the Woodsdale, there were welcome back videos, and in the Beaverbrook, the I Am Thankful around the holidays production that occurred. So even in the summer program, cable was involved with some of our students. There's pre-COVID interviewing and doing some work in special education. So I'll answer the questions I can. I may be limited with what I can answer, but I would certainly ask that the committee consider when you're ready. You could do it tonight. You could do it at a subsequent meeting. We could do it whenever you choose. Consider Jessica Johnson continue as our rep.
Does anyone have questions about Jessica or Abington Cam?
I think Abington Cam's been fantastic since they got through. Obviously, there was a rough patch for everybody involved. Kevin's done an amazing job since coming on and getting through all that. Jessica's, this is a lot smoother than the last time we tried to do this, Wendy. So I'm all set with it whenever.
I can vote as well. I think Jessica's been great. I've heard a lot of great things about her, and I'm especially excited that she's willing to do this again, so to volunteer her time. Would you like to vote, or okay?
I'm good to vote,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion to appoint Jessica Johnson as the school committee representative to Abington Camp?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Jessica. Thank you.
Next item I have is the school choice question, which I talked about as we opened. I can answer any questions, or if the committee would like to vote it, or if you'd like to wait to another meeting, that's certainly up to the committee.
I can vote.
I can vote
I
as
can
well.
vote.
I can vote. Okay. Let's vote. Does anybody have any questions first? Nope, okay. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the school to, hold on, because we don't want to approve that. We're making a motion to not participate in school choice for the 2021-2022 school year.
For the
2022, excuse me, to 2023 school year. Do you want me to repeat that over again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wendy, I'll make the motion to opt out of school choice for 2022 to 2023. If anybody wanted to know the reasons, the numbers we have in town already are up there, and we don't need to add any more at this time. So.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So the next item I have is, I can explain this once, and it's really the same for all of these different groups. And I want to thank Chris Coyle and Wendy Happel for being a part of the subcommittee that worked on this with the association. It is our COVID-related sick time agreements. So right now, the state of Massachusetts provides 40 hours for anything related to COVID up until April 1st. They've extended their support of providing this sick time, and we'll be able to tap into that at least till April 1st. This also gives us the environment where we don't want people that are, well, I'm feeling kind of sick and I should come to work, or I shouldn't come to work, where this helps them make the decision to stay home because this provides them sick time when they have COVID-related symptoms. And also, we don't want them coming in because, they could spread, they could create close contacts with our students. The same way we don't want our students to come in to create close contacts with other students. And obviously, in schools, the teachers and the staff, the faculty and staff have an increased potential for exposure to COVID. So this is something that we do want to support to the extent possible at a tough time. What these agreements all provide are up to 5 sick days for anything COVID related for sick time during the period of the agreement. So the days can be used at different times, up to 5. There's no cap if it's a school exposure, if the person participates and they're able to participate in the test and stay program. So if the exposure happens at work, there's additional days up to what's needed, but the people have to participate in the test and stay. And this also includes 5 days, up to 5 days for a sick family member to take care of someone in their home during the period of the agreement. And either party can reopen this agreement, and regardless, it sunsets or ends on June 30th. You have the actual language. I tried to give you a higher level review of it without reading the agreement to you. You have each of the agreements in your packets. And I'm going to ask my friend Felicia if I left something out, if I got something wrong.
No, pretty good.
And I want to answer any questions on when and if the committee is ready, ask that they consider this.
Any questions?
And both sides were agreeable to this?
Has
Okay.
the association
The
already?
association has already ratified this.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that was my one burning question.
And so what we did here is we made sure it wasn't just the association, it was every
Everybody.
employee in the Abington Public
Right.
Schools, because we want to be consistent with what we're
Can
doing.
we do all at once, or are we gonna do all separately?
Probably healthier to do it separately.
Okay.
I know we won't get in trouble if we do it that way.
Okay, no problem.
And we probably won't the other way.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for COVID-related sick time with the Abington Education Association?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do you want to talk about each one?
They're all exactly the same, yeah.
Okay, so we'll just go down the line if everybody's okay with that? Okay. So on the Abington Cafeteria Association, can I get a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for COVID-related sick time with the Abington Cafeteria Association as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the Abington Custodial Association. If I can get a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for COVID-related sick time with the Abington Custodial Association as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next is the Abington Maintenance Association. If I can get a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for COVID-related sick time with the Abington Maintenance Association as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the non-collective bargaining agreement employees. Can I get a motion to approve the COVID-related sick time provisions for non-collective bargaining groups as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask one question before we move on? Back to the SEL. I just have a question. Are you guys still doing meetings, monthly meetings with the school committee? Or however, like before things are newer presented? I know that there was, we have a subcommittee, and I just wanted to know.
We haven't been.
No. Okay.
We
If there's a
can?
need, we'll do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know, I thought that we made a subcommittee for the SEL specifically so that anything new that comes through kind of gets discussed with some of the school committee members first.
I mean, we can do it if the committee wants, we can do it if you like. We had a full, my memory is we had a full presentation on all of the things we were doing. And we were holding until there were changes. What you saw tonight isn't a change, we've been doing that for,
I just want to make
A
sure
number
that
of
we're
years,
still,
yeah.
because I know that we filled it out, and, you know, all the subcommittees, so I just wanted to make sure that it
so
was still kind of happening every now and then.
we have I think, 8 or 9 subcommittees that meet as needed. I mean, so it depends on,
So as needed, would that be like every time you're gonna talk about it, or just any time that there's something new that comes into play, or just like an update? Maybe an
All-
update would be good, like
all
if.
of those things as needed.
Okay. I feel like it's as needed.
Well, you mentioned a number of things that would be a reason to meet,
Right,
and so it isn't any one of those things, it's any one of those things.
okay. So anytime you wanna reach out to the subcommittee, and let them know what's going on, that would be awesome.
So should we have a
Thank
meeting?
I mean, I'm not on the committee, so I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I just wanna just throw it out there that, don't
I am.
forget about it, that's it.
I mean, the safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I totally understand, I'm just saying, like, I just don't want anybody to forget about it, that's
Nope.
it. Awesome,
I
thank you.
think you had someone else with a question.
Hi.
Hi,
I just know it was discussed at the middle school council meeting, and I know there's a member of the school committee on that
thank you,
council as well, so.
thanks. Anyone else have anything? No. So we have some informational items. The letter that we decided,
Wendy,
oh, go ahead.
So with the next school committee meeting date, do you want to just make it November 30th now and save James and everybody the trouble of going? I mean, it's still November even, and we don't meet in December anyway,
Right.
so.
And
Just push it out
November
a week.
30th is we usually do two meetings in November.
2 meetings in January.
Oh, in January, excuse me.
Yeah.
So
So let's just push
November
it out.
30th instead.
It'll get it off of Thanksgiving week for
Yes,
everybody.
please.
That's
That
a
would
really
be
good idea.
fabulous. That would
Thank
be
Ms. Minahan
fabulous.
for the idea.
Are you guys all okay with that? Does anybody have anything going on?
I won't be here,
Oh,
Okay.
how about December 7th?
you.
Or even December, I mean, we don't have to do a
I
Tuesday,
can,
right?
I'll be here December 7th.
We don't have to do a Tuesday either.
Would you rather do, since we usually don't have a December meeting, do you want to do, like, are you going away or is it just that day?
I'll be out of town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
We can do December
intrusive.
7th. Yeah, we can do the 7th then too, I mean, I'm okay with either one.
I didn't even tell you where I'm going.
If we could not meet Thanksgiving week, that would be fabulous,
Okay.
but
Want to do December 7th?
December 7th then, is everybody, at least tentatively, I mean, I guess we
Yes.
have 40, until 48 hours before, we have time to move it around, so.
That's an awesome idea.
So say 12/7.
Okay. Thank you for that. Hi.
Would it be okay if I check in on department heads are going to be presenting?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sure.
That's a good
They
idea.
were told
Because then we can
November
just switch them maybe.
So, so I can ask them tomorrow.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that, thank you. Okay, so for informational items, we do have the letter that we decided to send to Commissioner Riley and Governor Baker. It is in the packet, so I'm assuming that you guys all have that. It was mostly the same, there was one paragraph that we totally took out that had to do with vaccinations. There's correspondence to the Abington School Committee from Superintendent Schaefer on the mask mandate that he
Community.
sent out.
Yeah, the letter I sent to the community.
Correct, yes. What did I say?
I'm sorry, I thought you said committee.
I could have. So it was a letter that he had sent to the community about the mask mandate. And that was, what, last Friday, Thursday?
That was on October 14th,
October 14th, thank you.
which may have been, the days are moving pretty
Fast.
fast.
We also have correspondence to the Abington High School football coach, Jim Kelleher, on his 500th game. So that was pretty amazing. And then the Abington High School School Sportsmanship Award. Our dates to remember are Monday, November 1st. There's no schools for students. It's a half day of professional development for staff. Wednesday, November 3rd is the Greenways Boosters Meeting, and that is at the high school at 7 p.m. And Thursday, November 11th is Veterans Day, so everything will be closed, all the school offices and buildings. And then Tuesday, November 23rd is the next, no, it's not.
Not anymore.
December 17th.
So we'll just TBD the next meeting, we'll try to.
Yes.
circle
We'll
wagons.
confirm it with everybody, I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that, but tentatively, it's December 7th. And Wednesday,
Again,
December.
It doesn't have to be a Tuesday, I mean, it doesn't have to be a Tuesday either, I mean, we
Yep.
usually do, but if it works where it's not a Tuesday for some reason, that's fine too.
Okay. We'll check in with everybody and at the
I'll
school.
just say Mondays in December. I would
Yeah, I mean,
not
Tuesday,
be
if we get, yeah, I agree keeping it, so.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Wednesday, November 24th is a half day for Thanksgiving break, and Thursday, November 25th, and Friday, November 26th, all school offices and buildings will be closed for Thanksgiving break. Do you have anything to add?
You cover it, thank you.
And so at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
All in favor? Oh, you'll second it, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you to Kevin Tashi and everyone that came out tonight. We appreciate it.